If you want the best NBA coverage on YouTube year-round for free, subscribe to Chat Sports, youtube.com/chatsportstv, or hit that red subscribe button down below, because we here at Chat Sports take pride in absolutely murdering the competition when it comes to our NBA coverage. We start off this mailbag with this $5 super chat from Quin. What could the Kings realistically land by trading Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley together? A pretty solid package. I think Bagley right now is damaged goods, and for Sacramento, taking him ahead of Luka Doncic and Trae Young has proven to be straight up disastrous. I mean, that's something that I would never forget about if I'm a Kings fan. Luckily, I am not, because they haven't had any success since the early 2000s when Tim Donaghy and the officials kind of screwed them out of that playoff series in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. But Buddy Hield, one of the best shooters since he came into the league. Marvin Bagley, at that point, you'd be hoping that he can live up to expectations and somewhat salvage his career. I think it gets you maybe an all-star caliber player back, like a Victor Oladipo before he got injured. Maybe even a Malcolm Brogdon type, depending on what the market is. Amandeep, can the Raptors be in the playoffs? We have a lot of Raptors fans who watch us here at Chat Sports. Thank you very much for that. No. Raptors are a rebuilding team. And maybe because they have one of the best front office executives in the sport in Masai Ujiri, one of the best coaches in Nick Nurse, and still some solid players on that roster with Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam. Maybe they're in the NBA play-in window or in the back half of the Eastern Conference standings. I just think they're kind of rebuilding just a bit. What up, Drew? CJ for Ben Simmons straight across. At the start of the NBA offseason, I would have said no. And I've been firm in saying that I think Ben Simmons' trade value is a lot higher than what people are making it out to be, because he's still an all-star who's probably the best defender in the league because he can guard positions 1 through 5. Offensively, his vision is absolutely special. After watching Tyrese Maxey play in the NBA Summer League, I would not include Maxey in any deal, including one for Damian Lillard. I think Maxey is that good. And I think he's been the player, he's been the missing ingredient that the Sixers have been looking for the last few years. Maxey is what you thought Markelle Fultz was going to be. So if you can keep Tyrese Maxey and not trade for Dame, and instead trade Ben Simmons for C.J. McCollum, I kind of like the backcourt of Tyrese Maxey and C.J. McCollum with Joel Embiid down low and some of the other young pieces on this roster. Rogue Brothers, Chase, hey, if Murray wasn't injured, could they have passed the Suns? I would have liked the Nuggets' playoff chances with Jamal Murray in the lineup because, yeah, he didn't have the greatest regular season up to his standards last year, but in the NBA bubble, he had one of the best playoff runs that we've seen in recent memory, and he is an elite bucket getter and elite scorer. And you pair him up with the Joker, who was the MVP last year, my gosh, that's a really good 1-2 punch. So I hope that Murray comes back because the Nuggets will certainly be a fascinating team in a deep Western Conference. Anish Anand, who has the best trio in the NBA? It's the Nets. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden. These guys, any given night, are going to be able to pour in 30 points. And isn't it crazy how Kyrie, Kevin Durant, both best friends, both averaged 26.9 points per game last year. I mean, James Harden took offensive sacrifices and didn't have the volume of shots that he usually takes. He still averaged 24.5 points per game. That is stupid. So I don't think it's close. Nets have the best trio. Some might say, you know, the Lakers are in there now with LeBron, AD, and Russ. Maybe the Warriors with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, but Draymond, not a great offensive player. Clay coming off the ACL and Achilles injury, so give me the Nets big three. Neary, what up? What will happen with the Nets if they don't win it this year? Well, it was reported last week from Malika Andrews that Harden and Kyrie are going to be offered contract extensions, and 2 Fridays ago, Kevin Durant was already offered a 4-year, $198 million contract extension. So even if they don't win it this upcoming season, and they're my favorite to do so, they're the betting odds favorites as well, that core is going to be intact for a little while. Dale DoughBack, do you think Jaylen Brown can take the next step and be a legitimate star? To me, in my opinion, Jaylen Brown is already a star. Now, he's not a star offensive player, even though last year his shooting splits were fantastic and he averaged around 25 points per game. He is a star from this sense. He's one of the best two-way players in the league. He's an elite defensive player, and he is a evolving and growing offensive player. I think Brown and Tatum can lead you to an NBA title. Both of those guys in their early to mid-20s, they're both studs. Do you think that Jaylen Brown is going to be an all-star this season? Good job by producer Marshall Green for cooking up this question on the fly. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get those votes in down below. The 2K King, do you think the Warriors will go after Paul Millsap, and would he be a good fit? There were some early rumors that the Warriors were interested in Millsap in free agency, and Millsap was interested in the Dubs. I think it'd be a good fit. I think it'd be a logical signing. I don't think it would cost a bunch of money to bring in Paul Millsap, who can still play. He's not the all-star caliber player that he was with the Atlanta Hawks, but last year, I thought he was really solid. And as a guy coming in off the bench who can score it, he can play some defense, big body down low, floor stretcher, vet, I like it. Rakhem Sportz, should the Mavericks sign Isaiah Thomas? Man, there are so many people who are obsessed with Isaiah Thomas, and a couple weekends ago he poured in 81 points in a Pro-Am game, but here's the key part of that. It was a Pro-Am game. Isaiah Thomas isn't capable of being an elite scorer at this point in his NBA career. Now, can he come in off the bench and score 10 points a night? Yes, I think he could. But here's the problem with Isaiah Thomas. He's always been undersized, but because he's not as explosive as he once was, and because he's not giving you 20-plus points per night, he is a complete liability defensively. And that's the issue that teams are running into with Isaiah Thomas. He's a good dude. He's had to deal with a lot. He's overcome a lot of personal challenges in his life, especially over the last couple of years. I'm rooting for him. We'll see if a team takes a chance on him. Jeremy Sherwood Lovehead. Ha 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 ha. Good one right there. I see what you did. What should be Westbrook's role this season with the Lakers? Play point guard. Yeah, Westbrook's going to play point. Is he going to put up a triple-double like he did last year with the Wizards? I'm not sure there are going to be enough opportunities for him to shoot the basketball and score as many points per game. Or are there going to be enough rebounding opportunities with LeBron and AD still on the team? Probably not. But Westbrook is going to be your point. If you're asking me, if I'm Frank Vogel sitting in his chair and you're like, Frank, what is your message to Russell Westbrook? My message to Russ is this. Russ, at the end of games, don't be reckless. Don't make head-scratching decisions. Don't always push the tempo and go for the kill shot. I want you to be a traditional point guard. Go with the flow. Don't feel as though you need to be Superman at all times. You're playing alongside LeBron and AD. Let those guys go to work and be the third option. Speaking of the Lakers, we have a Lakers channel here at Chat Sports that has almost 40,000 subscribers, but also 5 other channels in addition to the Lakers channel that we have working here at Chat Sports. Warriors, we're almost at 21,000 subscribers. Mavericks, trying to get to 15K. Newer channels, Celtics, Knicks, and Sixers. Here's the crazy thing, and all of them in the Atlantic Division. Let's act like divisions matter in the NBA. We launched our Knicks and Sixers channel about 3-4 weeks ago, and already Knicks, almost 1,700 subs. Sixers, almost 1,400 subs. Can they catch the Celtics over the next couple of months? We'll see. All of those subscription links have been filtering through the bottom of your screen, or they're in the description of this video if you want to subscribe. Terrence Williams, not the former NFL wide receiver. How can the Warriors be contenders for the NBA Finals? To me, it's pretty simple. It comes down to Klay Thompson's health. That's really it. Klay Thompson's healthy. If he gets back to being close to that all-star form that he was pre-injuries, because he's coming off the ACL and Achilles, then the Warriors can be contenders for the NBA Finals. Steph Curry last year, in the back half of the year, I thought he was the best player in the NBA. And I still think he can play at an MVP caliber level. And that roster, with young pieces in Kuminga and Moody, Jordan Poole coming off the bench, as well as Otto Porter, Nemanja Bjelica, James Wiseman. I mean, this roster, Kevon Looney, very, very good and deep. Zion Gabilla. Hopefully I pronounced that right. What is the latest news for Ben Simmons? Is he going to the Warriors? So I did talk about this over the weekend on our Sixers channel. Just had to bring you a video from the crib because the work don't stop here at Chat Sports. We're always grinding and hustling. You can subscribe to our Sixers channel, chatsports.com/76erstv. The most recent reports have come out from Zach Lowe as well as Stephen A. Smith, both of them saying that the Warriors organization is basically divided as to whether or not they should trade for Ben and if he fits on that roster. Zach Lowe also reporting that the Sixers view Ben Simmons as the piece that could get them back Damian Lillard. Not a huge surprise, but you asked for the latest on Ben Simmons and the Sixers. We brought it to you. Watch that video, chatsports.com/76erstv, and subscribe so that the Sixers channel can catch up to the Knicks. Tricky Knicky! Will the Knicks still be a 4 seed with adding Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier along with Grimes? So let's not just focus on Kemba, Fournier, and Grimes. Let's also talk about Miles McBride and Emmanuel Quickley, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel. I mean, the Knicks in free agency killed it. Derrick Rose. Like, I love everything that New York did. And also, we do have a Knicks channel, chatsports.com/KnicksTV. Fournier and Kevin Durant, they were taking shots at each other on Twitter, going back and forth because they both had that Ginobili bald spot going. I don't, thankfully. Hopefully that's not bad karma, knock on wood. But I do think the Knicks can be a 4 seed and be in the mix in the East because, yes, that roster doesn't have a bona fide star. I don't think Julius Randle is that yet, nor is RJ Barrett. But, man, they're deep as hell. Move ahead in this mailbag with this question from Yes. Do you think the Suns' finals run last year was a fluke because of injuries? Some people have said that because in the first round, you take on the Lakers when AD is out. Then you go up against the Nuggets, and the Nuggets didn't have Jamal Murray. And then you go up against the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, and Kawhi doesn't play. But the Suns last year were the number 2 seed in the West. So are you going to say that that was fluky? Probably not, because they were an excellent story last year, and they were in the basement of the NBA for so long, and mostly because of Chris Paul, but also because James Jones is a great GM. Monty is a great coach, and that roster is very, very talented. That's why they were a factor in that NBA title race last year, and I expect them to once again be competing for a championship this upcoming season. So, no, I don't think it was a fluke. I think that's kind of a lame excuse to say it was a fluke because of injuries. For all my homies out there watching, if you're looking at me in this blue shirt and you're like, man, those blue eyes look phenomenal, give me a follow on Twitter, @Chase_Senior, because not only can you get some great NBA takes, also cover the NFL here at Chat Sports, but you can interact with me. So hit me up, @Chase_Senior, slide in my DMs. We keep it loose, we have fun, and we hit you with some hard-hitting analysis both on the air at Chat Sports and on our Twitter feeds. Rakhem Sportz, how effective will Russell Westbrook and Dwight Howard's pick and roll be? Because you know they will try that. Yeah, Dwight Howard can still play too. I thought he was a really good backup for Joel Embiid last year. Dwight Howard not playing at that MVP caliber level like he was in his prime, but Dwight has really found a way, in an impressive way, to continue his NBA career. I thought 2 years ago with the Lakers, he was a very important piece on that team that won a title. And the pick and roll game between Russ and Dwight can be effective because Dwight can still leap and he can still roll. He can still set some picks and throw down some dunks. And Russell Westbrook has always been a good passer and a good guy of getting to the rim. Terrence Williams with another question. Do you think Klay will come back from an injury like Kevin Durant? If you're looking for positive signs for Klay Thompson coming off that Achilles injury, look no further than Kevin Durant, who also suffered the same injury. And like Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson has been very, very conservative coming off of that injury, which is probably now in sports, even though we've made a lot of medical advances, the worst injury, even with the ACL. So I do think Klay is going to be able to come back. I hope so, because the league is better when the Warriors are an elite team, and Klay Thompson is just a really fun and entertaining player to follow. Will Klay Thompson win Comeback Player of the Year? I've been asked this question a couple of times and also asked if other players across the NBA are going to win Comeback Player of the Year. If Klay gets back to that all-star form, I think he's going to run away with this award, given that he's missed the last 2 years because of the ACL and Achilles injuries. Type 1 for yes, type 0 for no. Get those votes in. Daniel, what are the chances of the Mavericks landing Lauri Markkanen and Dragic before the season starts? If we're putting a percentage chance on both, let's say 20 to 30%, I think it would be smart for the Mavericks to do that. I've talked about this here on the channel a little bit. I think you'd have to get rid of Kristaps Porzingis because I'm not sure Markkanen and KP can play together. Dragic, fellow Slovenian for Luka Doncic, they're very good friends. I want to see Dragic on that team because of that connection from Slovenia, but also because the Mavericks really need a secondary play creator. Francisco Farinha, last question in this mailbag. Any big trade for Golden State? If the Warriors want to trade away their 2 lottery picks, Jonathan Kuminga, who they drafted at number 7, and/or Moses Moody, who they got at number 14, they signed their rookie contracts. And because of that, they're not eligible to be traded until September. And September is coming up right around the corner. I mean, we're going to get back to the regular NBA schedule, so that means regular season starting in October, offseason workouts starting in September and October as well. So that's when a trade would have to take place. I think the Warriors, seeing what Kuminga has done, as well as Moses Moody, are pretty set with that roster. I don't see them making any big blockbuster trade.